Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going deep into the real story of Valentine's Day. Not just flowers and chocolates, but a journey of love, sacrifice, betrayal, and history that stretches back over 1,800 years. This is not a made-up love story. This is a story of a man who died for love, of an empire that feared romance, and of how one secret act of kindness became a celebration in every corner of the world. Whether you love Valentine's Day or feel alone on this day, when you hear this story, you'll see it differently forever. And as you listen, you'll also improve your English through powerful storytelling, simple language, and emotional connection. So listen till the end. And don't forget to subscribe. Chapter 1. The World Before Love. The Roman Empire, 3rd century. Before Valentine's Day became a celebration of couples, kisses, and romantic dinners. It was a crime to love. Let's go back to ancient Rome, around the year 270 AD, under the rule of Emperor Claudius II, also known as Claudius the Cruel. Claudius had one obsession: war. He believed the strength of his empire came from a powerful, loyal, and fearless army. But he had a problem. Young men didn't want to join the army. They wanted to get married, stay with their wives, raise families, and live peacefully. Claudius believed that love made men weak. So he passed a cruel law. All marriages and engagements are banned for young men. That's right, it became illegal to get married. No weddings, no engagements, no love letters, no future. The empire became cold. Couples were separated. Lovers went underground. Hearts were broken in silence. But deep inside this empire of fear, someone dared to break the law. In the heart of Rome, there lived a humble Christian priest named Valentine. He believed in love. He believed in God's law over Roman law, and he believed that no emperor had the right to stop two souls from becoming one. So quietly, secretly, he started performing illegal marriages by candlelight, in basements, in forest clearings, with whispers instead of music. Couples would come at night. Some were just 16. Some were soldiers. Some were women who had waited for years. And every time Valentine stood with them, he would hold their hands, say their vows, and bless their union in the name of love, even if it meant death. He was not doing it for fame. He was doing it because he believed love was worth the risk. But in an empire built on control, secrets don't stay hidden for long. One night someone betrayed him. Whether it was a jealous soldier, a desperate official, or someone forced to confess, we don't know. What we do know is that Valentine was arrested. He was dragged from his small chapel, beaten, chained, thrown into a dark Roman prison. And the emperor gave the order: Valentine will be executed. Not just because he broke the law, but because he believed love was more powerful than an emperor. Inside that prison, waiting for death, something happened. Valentine met a girl. She was blind, the daughter of his jailer. But she was kind to him, and he was kind to her. They talked for hours through the bars. He told her stories of hope, faith, and light. She had never seen light, but she began to feel it through his words. And then, one day, she opened her eyes and could see. Some say it was a miracle. Some say it was love. But even the jailer, a Roman man of law, was shaken. On the night before his death, February 14th, Valentine wrote a final letter to the girl. He signed it with 3 words: "From your Valentine." That one line became the first Valentine's message in history. He was taken at dawn. beheaded outside the city walls. A priest who died not in battle, but in defiance of cruelty and for the power of love. Chapter 2. The Letter That Never Died. How Valentine's name became immortal. Valentine was gone, his body buried, his church torn apart, his name nearly forgotten by the empire. But something could not be buried. That final letter, those 3 words, from your Valentine. No Roman sword could erase them. No emperor could stop their meaning. Because that letter started to travel through time. Let's see how one man's death became a legend that grew stronger every century, and how February 14th transformed from a day of execution to a celebration of eternal love. After his execution in 270 AD, Valentine's name began to spread quietly among Christians, especially those who had once secretly married through him. They whispered about his bravery. They remembered his gentle smile, and they passed down the story of the blind girl who saw again through love. These stories spread not through books, but through hearts. Valentine became more than a priest. He became a symbol of hope, especially during a time when Christians were hunted, tortured, and killed across the Roman Empire. People would say, "He believed in love when the world had forgotten it." They began to visit the place where he was buried. They prayed at his grave. Some wrote letters and left them there, just like he had once written his final note. A major turning point came in 313 AD, 43 years after Valentine's death. That year, the Roman Emperor Constantine did something revolutionary. He legalized Christianity. Christians were no longer hunted. They were free to pray, build churches, and celebrate their heroes. Valentine, who had died for love and faith, was officially honored by the Church. He was given the title, Saint Valentine, and February 14th became his feast day, a sacred day to remember his sacrifice. But remember, this was still not about chocolates or red roses. It was a day for prayer, love, and secret acts of kindness. At the same time, another very different festival was happening in Rome, called Lupercalia, celebrated around February 15th. Lupercalia was wild and violent. It was an old pagan ritual where men would sacrifice animals, strip naked, and run through the streets whipping women with goat skins, believing it would make them fertile. It was loud. It was physical. It had nothing to do with love. But over time, as the Roman Empire became more Christian, the Church wanted to replace pagan festivals with holier meanings. So what did they do? They took Lupercalia and merged it with St. Valentine's Day. They transformed a festival of lust into a festival of love. February 14th slowly changed in people's minds, from blood and sacrifice to marriage and affection. By the Middle Ages, especially in France and England, Saint Valentine had become the symbol of romantic love. Why? Because people believed that birds began to pair up and mate on February 14th. They believed nature itself celebrated love on that day. This idea grew powerful. As the birds find their mate, so should lovers find their hearts. Poets and writers began to write verses on that day. They would send messages with phrases like, "Will you be my Valentine? To the one I cherish most. In the name of Saint Valentine, I give you my heart." These were the earliest Valentine's cards. Handwritten, full of emotion, and deeply personal. In 1415, during a brutal war between England and France, the Duke of Orléans, a 21-year-old French nobleman, was captured in battle and locked in the Tower of London. From his prison cell, filled with longing, he wrote a love letter to his wife in France. It began, "I am already sick of love, my very gentle Valentine." That letter still exists today. It's stored in the British Library, and it is one of the earliest known Valentine poems in the world. From royal courts in France to villages in England, from handwritten poems to carved tokens, February 14th became a day for love. But it wasn't commercial. It was emotional. Lovers exchanged handmade gifts like ribbons, pressed flowers, or verses from the Bible. Some would sneak letters under doors or tie them to trees. Others would give rings with secret meanings. And always, somewhere in the message, they would include, "Be my Valentine." Not because of tradition, but because they remembered a man who wrote those words before he was taken to die. Even during dark periods of history, wars, plagues, revolutions, Valentine's Day survived because it was never just about the day. It was about the feeling, the right to love, the courage to express it, the hope that it brings. That's why people never stopped celebrating it, even when the world around them was falling apart. Chapter 3. From Sacred to Sweet. The Rise of Modern Valentine's Day. As centuries passed, Saint Valentine was no longer just a figure of ancient stories. He became a global symbol, but not in the way the early church imagined. Because by the time we reached the 18th and 19th centuries, Valentine's Day started to change. It moved from cathedrals to card shops, from sacrifice to sweetness, and from whispers of love to millions of voices expressing it in public. This is the chapter where the world transformed Valentine's Day from a story of courage into one of chocolate boxes, red hearts, and global celebrations. But how did that happen? Let's break it down step by step. In England, during the 1700s, it became common for friends and lovers of all social classes to exchange small gifts or handwritten notes. There were no mobile phones, no internet, no Instagram posts. Love had to be expressed through words written by hand. People spent hours crafting their messages. Some wrote romantic poetry. Some drew hearts pierced by arrows. Some folded letters in special shapes or tied them with ribbon. A poor farmer might give a wildflower. A schoolgirl might cut out a heart from paper. A nobleman might write a long verse in perfect ink and seal it with wax. Valentine's Day was not about showing off. It was about deep feelings, sent in quiet, personal ways. Across the Atlantic, in America, the tradition also began to grow. Immigrants from Europe brought their Valentine customs with them. By the mid-17th century, people in American colonies were also exchanging notes and tokens of love on February 14th. But something was about to change everything. Before the 1800s, all Valentine messages were handwritten. But in 1840s, England, something revolutionary happened. Valentine cards began to be printed and sold in stores. This changed the game. It began with a woman named Esther Howland in the United States. She was a young artist from Massachusetts, just 19 years old. In 1849, she saw a beautiful Valentine card imported from England and thought, "Why can't we make these here?" So she began creating her own. She added lace, flowers, ribbons, cut-out paper, and beautiful calligraphy. Her cards became so popular that she started a business, one of the first mass-produced Valentine card companies in America. Esther was called the mother of the American Valentine. Soon after Esther Howland's success, Valentine's Day became commercial. In England, factories began printing thousands of cards with romantic verses and colorful images. In America, card companies were growing fast, especially Hallmark, which would later become the biggest greeting card company in the world. By the late 1800s, post offices were flooded with Valentine letters. Newspapers printed Valentine poems. Magazines gave women advice on what to write to your gentleman. Stores began selling ribbons, heart-shaped boxes, and scented paper just for the occasion. Valentine's Day became more than a romantic tradition. It became an industry. And the more it grew, the more symbols of love began to appear. Roses for beauty and passion, hearts for emotion and purity. Cupid with his bow and arrow, taken from Roman mythology. But something even sweeter was about to enter the scene. In 1868, the famous British chocolate company Cadbury saw a new opportunity. They began selling chocolates in heart-shaped boxes just for Valentine's Day. It was brilliant. Chocolate was rare, luxurious, and romantic, perfect for a day of love. Soon, other companies followed. By the early 1900s, chocolates were a standard Valentine's gift. Boxes were decorated with flowers, gold, velvet, or silk. Some even had secret compartments for hidden love letters. People no longer just said, "I love you." They now gave it in chocolate. Even during dark times, like World War I and World War II, Valentine's Day didn't stop. Soldiers wrote Valentine letters to their wives and sweethearts from the battlefield. Women sent handmade cards, scarves, and embroidered handkerchiefs. Some men carried those letters in their jackets as reminders of what they were fighting for. Valentine's Day became a source of emotional strength, especially when couples were separated by war. In fact, one soldier wrote, "Your Valentine letter stayed in my pocket through every cold night in the trenches. When I had nothing, I read your words and felt warm again." In the 1950s and 60s, something big changed again. Television and advertising took Valentine's Day to a whole new level. Commercials showed husbands giving jewelry to their wives, young boys nervously handing cards to girls in school, heart-shaped boxes sold in every grocery store. Companies realized, if love could be expressed through products, then Valentine's Day could be very profitable. Jewelry stores, florists, candy companies, restaurants, and gift shops began to market aggressively around February 14th. Valentine's Day became not just a private celebration, it became a public expectation. By the late 20th century, especially in America and Europe, children also began participating. Schools organized Valentine card exchanges. Kids gave small cards to every classmate. Stickers, cartoon hearts, and candy became part of the tradition. It wasn't romantic. It was about friendship and kindness. Even children learned that Valentine's Day was not just for lovers, but for everyone who has someone they care about. As globalization spread, Valentine's Day crossed borders. In Japan, women give chocolates to men on February 14th, and men return the favor a month later on White Day. In South Korea, each month on the 14th has a special meaning, including Valentine's Day and Black Day for single people. In France, the village of Saint Valentin becomes a tourist spot for couples. In India, the holiday has been embraced in urban cities but also faced criticism from conservative groups. In Brazil, Valentine's Day is celebrated on June 12th instead, due to carnival season in February. Valentine's Day has become a global celebration, but each culture adds its own meaning, style, and emotion. Chapter 4. The Truth Behind Today. Has the real Valentine been forgotten? Today, when we say Valentine's Day, we think of red roses, heart-shaped balloons, couples holding hands, candlelight dinners, Instagram captions, and expensive gifts. But behind all of this, behind the glitter, the chocolates, and the shopping, a quiet question remains. Has the world forgotten the real meaning of Valentine's Day? Let's go deep into that question. Let's explore the truth behind today's Valentine's Day, how it is celebrated now, what it means to different people, how much money is involved, and most importantly, how we can bring the real meaning back. Valentine's Day is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. In the United States alone, over $25 billion is spent every year on jewelry, chocolates, greeting cards, flowers, dinners, trips, perfumes, teddy bears, and now, even custom I love poems. Around the world, in Japan, over 4 million boxes of chocolates are sold just for Valentine's. In France, flower shops double their income during Valentine's week. In India, the demand for roses, gifts, and restaurant bookings skyrockets every February 14th. From television ads to social media influencers, from discount sales to luxury campaigns, everyone is selling love. But is love really something you can buy? For many people, Valentine's Day brings joy. But for others, it brings loneliness, pressure, or even sadness. Why? Because the modern Valentine's Day has created expectations. If you're in a relationship, you're expected to buy something big. If you're single, you're made to feel left out. If your partner forgets, you're made to feel unloved. Many people feel anxious. What should I post on Instagram? Did she like the gift? He didn't do anything this year. Does he still care? Everyone has someone. Why am I alone? This is not what Valentine gave his life for. He died so people could love, not so people could feel insecure about it. In the modern race to spend, impress, and post, we have slowly forgotten the kindness behind Valentine's sacrifice, the bravery of couples who risked everything to be together, the faith that one man had in the power of love, even when facing death. He didn't die for diamonds. He didn't die for likes on social media. He didn't die so companies could profit. He died because he believed no law should stop two people from being together. He died because he believed in something pure, quiet, and sacred. That spirit still lives. But you have to look beyond the surface. What if Valentine's Day was not about shopping, but about showing? Not about price, but about presence. Imagine if we used this day to forgive someone we once loved but lost. Call our parents and say thank you. Write a real letter to our partner. Not a message, not a sticker, but a true letter. Spend time with someone who's lonely. Help a child understand what love really means. Take care of a friend going through heartbreak. Tell ourselves, I am enough, even if no one else says it. That's real love. That's Valentine's spirit. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be true. Valentine's Day is not only for couples, it's for every human who has ever loved. If you're single today, don't feel broken, behind, or invisible. You have love inside you. You have people who care. You have dreams, memories, hopes, and feelings. You can give love to your family, your friends, a stranger on the street, or even to your future self who's waiting to become stronger. Valentine's Day is not about having someone. It's about being someone. Someone who carries love with dignity, courage, and warmth. And remember, Valentine himself was alone in his final moments, but his love lived on. If you want to celebrate this day in a meaningful way, here are 6 small things you can do. 1. Write a letter, not a text, not a DM. Write a handwritten note to someone you love, or even to yourself. 2. Tell a story of love. Share the story of St. Valentine with a child, a friend, or your partner. 3. Give time, not money. Visit your parents. Call your old friend. Sit with someone who's alone. 4. Forgive someone. Let go of anger. Heal old wounds. Open your heart again. 5. Create something beautiful. Paint, write, sing, bake. Do something out of love, not perfection. 6. Say I love you with meaning. Look someone in the eye and say it like it's the last time you'll get to. Valentine's Day is not just a date. It is a reminder that in a world full of noise, anger, and distractions, love still matters. Kindness still matters. Courage still matters. You don't need a partner to prove it. You don't need a gift to show it. You just need to choose love every day. And when you do, you are carrying the spirit of Valentine himself, the boy who married lovers in secret, the man who comforted a blind girl, the soul who signed a final letter from your Valentine. That is the real story. And that is the love the world needs today. So now you know the full truth. Valentine's Day is not just about couples, not just about chocolate or roses, not about what you buy, but about what you believe. It began with a man who chose love over fear, a man who risked his life to unite hearts, a man who died, not for glory, but for something far greater, the right to love and the courage to express it. In today's world, where relationships are often rushed, forgotten, or replaced with distractions, let this story remind you, love is still the most powerful thing we have. It heals, it protects, it forgives, and it lives on, even after we are gone. So whether you're single, in love, heartbroken, or healing, you are still part of this story. Let this Valentine's Day be the moment you stop chasing perfect love and start creating real love. Write the letter, say the words, hold someone tight, forgive, and if you're alone, become the love you've been searching for. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the real meaning of love, then we invite you to be part of our journey. Subscribe to our channel. Because here we tell stories that matter, stories that teach, stories that help you become the strongest, wisest, and most loving version of yourself, in English and in life. So, don't miss what's coming next. Until then, happy Valentine's Day.